If you have done your job.
When they was announced, you ran to the phone to tell me.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh my god!
Oh my god! Like I bought the bucket. I bought the bucket, Nick. I bought the bucket.
Bought the bucket.
For this, it's not even a Beast Wars bucket. It's an Optimus bucket. But I was like, it's for the Beast Wars movie. I'm buying it.
Gen Wars. Hey everybody, welcome back to Gen Wars, the combative podcast between the Gen Xers and the filthy, dirty, no good, down low, dirty millennials.
I can't believe you would say that. I can't believe you would say that.
I feel weird saying it every time. I don't know why, but when you say it, it's fine. When I say it, I'm punching down, I guess.
That's our descriptors. You can't take those. Only the boomers are allowed to call us that.
Oh. It's a one generation separation that works. Is that how that works?
Yeah.
Okay. So today we're here going to be reviewing and talking about Beast Wars, the thing that started this whole podcast. So let's start off with Steven. Hit him with some plugs first, and then we will take it from there.
You should like and subscribe to our channels. You got Fire Hazard 508 Creations. He does cool stuff. Play things, into display things. It starts with all the toys, all the good things, and then you got cool stuff at the end. And you can also check me out at Funky Games. We play video games. We do all the great stuff. We also have merch at the Funky Store, funky.store. You can pick it up with the De Niro you got. You can get your nice, a nice little teal blue De Niro sweater. There's also a lot of other stuff over there about nostalgia and things that make you go, wow. Speaking of that, before we get too far into this, nostalgia pilled. That is a new phrase that I've been hearing quite a lot recently. It's probably like first wave nostalgia pilled of my generation. Where y'all been? It's like
that is an interesting. Nostalgia is a big thing that's been hit on in movies and TV shows recently. Grab the old property, make a new remake of it in present day. But the nostalgia pill is a good way to phrase it.
And that will lead us into what we're doing today. We are dissecting a nostalgia bait movie, Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. That was released fairly recently. We're a little bit behind on covering it, but we really wanted to chew it over and get some of the source material down. Me watching through Generation 1 Transformers and Nick watching through the original Beast Wars. So, in that, I am a glutton for structure. So we have a very organized and very scientific way to go through this movie and give it our rating and score. So at the end of the episode, Nick will give his score and I will give mine. And we'll have a nice little rating to go in. And I think we're going to be reviewing more movies. Nick, do you want to talk about that at all?
Oh, yeah. We're definitely going to hit a lot of movies because I grew up in the age of movies. There was nothing else to do but go to the movies or rent movies from Blockbuster or whatever that may be. And I've come to find out over the years of knowing you, you haven't seen anything.
No.
Or very little. I'm like, hey, you seen this movie? And you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So we're going to take a dive down a whole bunch of other avenues in the movie realm as well, because I want Steven to watch these and get his perspective on it years later, and coming to them as an adult where I may have watched them as a child and have this love for it. And who knows, I may hate it later on too, because I've watched a couple things that I thought I loved, and now watching it in my 40s, I'm like, oh, that's not as good as I remember it being.
Yeah, and I might throw Nick some curveballs as well for my child, because I have watched the occasional movie, just none that everybody cares about. So it's just like that sometimes.
I'm here for some curveballs because there's a good chance I might not have seen it. You know, there was a time where I deviated from watching those movies or stuff because I was out making new friends or playing or going to the mall and things like that, where those movies may have escaped me as you were coming up in your childhood.
The mall? Who goes to the mall? There's no such thing anymore.
Yeah, I was a mall rat for...
Anywho, we are going down into 5 topics of conversation where we will be rating each of those sections on a scale of 1 to 10. and then we'll total the scores and get the percentage at the end for the final score. So make sure you stick around for each section, get our score, and then stay around for the end to get the final score. So the topic...
I'm figuring that this may, before you hit that, I'm figuring this may expand over time, depending on if we find more areas, if we things that we may find that we are hitting that aren't falling into these categories. But I think these were kind of the generalized categories that we talked about before, before going into this movie. So
yeah. Me and Nick put some work into getting this set up.
But we're always some work into this.
We're always open to kind of expanding and making sure the product's great at the end of the day. So topics are nostalgia bias. We're gonna have different levels of nostalgia bias dependent on the property, and it's gonna influence the way we perceive the movie. So it's a double-edged sword where like a high nostalgia bias is gonna give it a high score, but also means that we might be more tied to it and more critical of other facets of it. So nice way to kind of balance those things out. Production value, just how was it put together? How does it look? How is the final product at the end of the day with the effort of all the people working on it? Here we're going into the spirit, emotion, or intent of the film. Like, what is it trying to make you feel? Is it just cinema candy? Is it like an in-depth like dive into culture and those aspects of life that we watch movies about, and where that score lies on how impactful it is on its intent. Rewatchability. Are you going to watch this movie again? Is it going to be one that you watch over and over again? Is it a timeless classic that everybody should watch over and over and really deep dive into the details? I don't know. Let's rate it. And then that will give us our overall rating. Just how do we want to put it on a 1 to 10? Just kind of just a throw in the dark, kind of balance out any of those scales where the movie might have fallen apart. But overall score, we'll give it a overall 1 to 10, and there we go. That will be the big moneymaker for this review that we're doing here on Gen Wars. So, the first topic, nostalgia bias.
So I took this as two totally different, not nostalgia bias, but I took it as nostalgia and bias for this movie specifically, because obviously you and I both have a high nostalgia value for this property. It is, I mean, we literally started a podcast because of Transformers.
That's crazy.
However, the bias comes in with the that's come before it. I don't know if I'm bleeping that out, but that's come before it. And by the 5th, 6th, whatever movie
I think
that
this
was.
is
7?
Yeah.
Okay. Before we got to Bumblebee, whatever that last movie was before Bumblebee.
I believe that was 5.
Okay. That's what I'm saying. Before we got to Bumblebee and this movie, we had 5 movies. And by the 5th movie, my love of this franchise went completely in the dirt. And so I had a real high nostalgia value and then a real low bias on this, because I went in with like, I'm expecting nothing. I am expecting absolute crap.
I definitely had a very high nostalgia bias because I love Beast Wars. Like, Beast Wars is my favorite Transformers property. And I was just floored that they were even attempting to like tackle what Beast Wars brings to Transformers into the cinema, because it is a really elaborate like plot point within, and they've kind of touched on it in different series, not to the depth of its own dedicated to series, really, because you have Beast Wars and Beast Machines that covers the same continuity. That's a lot of ground to cover or try to get people engaged in a movie that's about.
It's a huge ground to cover.
Right. So awesome that they did it, but I have a really high like expectation for it, because you're taking one of my most cherished IPs and bringing it to the screen to where it has to perform. I think this movie I even would rank higher in bias than something like the Mario movie, which I had like the world depended on that movie being good. So this really was the make or break for the Hasbro verse. Like, that's what they're trying to set up with doing this, with kind of rebooting the whole Bayformers verse with Bumblebee. So a lot depended on it. This is the Iron Man 2 of the Marvel verse in my comparison.
Yeah, but Iron Man 2 was not as good as Iron Man 1 was.
Well, and that's what
But-
we're going to talk about. So
Yeah.
here I think we can talk about like what was your top nostalgia reference that you like thoroughly got out of this, that you're just like, yes, I'm glad you included that.
That's a good question. I didn't necessarily grab one off the top of my head, or when I was watching it that I jotted down. Hold on, let me scroll through my notes. But what was yours?
So I mean, just having
This happened. Actually, this is nostalgia that has nothing to do with Transformers. He was making black boxes. I had a black box as a kid.
what was a black box? That was not something I was aware of. So
it's an illegal cable box that gets everything. I was the kid in the neighborhood who had a black box, and all my friends wanted to come over and watch HBO, Showtime, Cinemax, and also the other channels that, you know, we shouldn't be watching as young children.
well, there you go. So yeah, that's a great like of the era. I pointed out in my notes that like the 90s era was the right call because you're definitely trying to capture a demographic that cares about this. So you're going into Transformers, which came down in 94, 96. I think that's right. 97.
Wait.
97.
What?
The the original show came out in the 90s. And so placing it in a nostalgia time for people that would be watching
we're
it now.
talking about Beast Wars came out in the 90s.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was
So
like, how did I watch it when I was a kid then if they came out in the 90s?
yes, Beast Wars, the series came out in the 90s. So placing the movie, homaging loosely, and I'll get into that more later, that series, placing it in the 90s was the right call instead of something like the 80s or Common Era. Because I think most of the Bayformers movies probably made the mistake of placing it in Common Era. Like, if you wanted to reboot truly, which they attempted to do with Bumblebee, was placing it in the 80s to get the original G1 vibe. I would love to live on the timeline where the Michael Bay original Transformers was set in the 80s. I think that would be a very interesting kind of
I think it would have made it
stage.
It would have felt better. It would have, all the things that happened in this movie transpired that you didn't have pagers and cell phones, and it all lent itself to kind of the anonymity of what was going on as well. Like the drive of our main character, like he could do these things without getting caught. That worked in the 90s, I guess. It worked better in that era.
Yeah. So big nostalgia bias for like the 90s in general, evidently.
And we got the Twin Towers back. That was kind of nice. It was nice seeing a nice sweeping shot of the skyline with the towers back,
Right. Yeah. So I have angst, I guess. I don't like New York fetishism. Like, I just really don't, especially in Hollywood. Like, I it's so done. And I don't get it. Like, I've worked with people like in New York offices and stuff, and I have no fondness for New York, and I don't think a lot of people do. Except for those who are making these movies or acting in these
unless
movies.
Unless you live there, too.
I guess. But, like, I might peeve some people off, but, like, I don't care about New York in general.
I was literally just listening to a comedian the other day talk on a podcast about him living in New York and talking to or other people in New York about where you're from and repping that. And I was like, okay, I do get it. Like, it's a thing. It's not our thing because, we don't live near New York
As he
City.
doxes himself. No, yeah.
So,
New York fetishization in because they even this is a weird one, but they even did it in the Blue's Clues movie, which I watch with my kids, and I'm just like, and then my kids are like, "Oh, New York is this great place." I'm like, I don't like that. I actually hate that, to be honest. So
that's random to put that in Blue's Clues,
because that's just what Hollywood does. They always, it's just like, how can we get New York into the damn movie? Like New York is the greatest mecca of the United States. We gotta have it in there. No one would get how the movie's taking place in America if it's not New York. It drives me nuts. Sorry.
Nope, that's a perfectly acceptable rant. Perfectly acceptable rant. Where was the other Terminator? The other Transformers movies took place in California and like Chicago?
Yeah.
Was that where the other? Okay.
That's where,
so there were like
probably
other cities.
90% of American cinema takes place in California, New York, Chicago. Probably that's it. That might be the only places things happen in the U.S.
Boston occasionally.
On occasion. Burley.
Boston on occasion.
Yeah, unless they're trying to pretend like the Twister movie. Like, I would, if the new Twister movie, Twisters, takes place in like on a coastal place and not in like the Midwest, I'm gonna just give up on anything.
Man, I'm salty about that, and that's probably one we should tackle in this series here.
Yes. Yeah, Twister.
We'll add that to the list.
Yes, excellent. The running list of Twister and Twisters. Definitely make sure you like and subscribe and ring the bell so you know when we do a review on that movie, because I think that's just happening no matter what.
Oh, I definitely agree with that one.
So,
all right. So, based on where we stand with our nostalgia bias or nostalgia and bias, what was your overall score for that?
So I gave it a 9. Just because of expectations and like if you were making a movie for me, if you were like picking out of things that haven't been made that you want to make a movie for me, this would be the movie you would make. This should be my favorite movie of all time. Period. Just based on my preferences, 90s nostalgia,
it's
Beast Wars, everything like that. This should be my movie. So I have to give it a 9. I have to rate it high.
Okay, so now here's where my weird rating system comes in, because I was at an 8 for my nostalgia.
Yep.
But my bias was at a 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like real low. So I said, let's split the difference and we'll call it a 5. Like, you've wrecked my nostalgia so much that I have trouble getting back to that. I'm like, please just give me something that I remember, that I want, that I like, and that hits that spot. And then the bias comes in and just like, keep in mind what you've gotten time and time and time again.
Right.
Other than Bumblebee, and I know we talked about maybe doing the Bumblebee movie, but I have a feeling we're going to end up treading a lot of the same ground in this episode that we would end up doing if we did the Bumblebee movie, which we still can do. And if you want to see that, comment below and tell us you want us to do the Bumblebee movie.
You're going to subject me to finishing Bumblebee because my butt fell asleep real quick. That was a slow starter for me.
Okay. Well, maybe if we get enough comments saying that they want it, then we'll go for it. So I landed at about a 5, and that was because I kind of, like I said, split that difference between the two and try to be in that happy medium.
Cool. So those are our scores. I think Nick probably threw them up on the screen because he's a good gent like that. So I'm standing at a 9, so really high. We're giving a lot of credit here for like selecting this movie. Like, I am the target demographic, period. No stop. Like, I should be going into this and walking out happy. That is, if you have done your job.
When they were supposed to announced, you ran to the phone to tell me.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh my god!
Like, I bought the bucket. I bought the bucket, Nick. I bought the bucket.
Bought the bucket.
For this, it's not even a Beast Wars bucket. It's an Optimus bucket. But I was like, it's for the Beast Wars movie. I'm buying it.
Which is also weird. Like, you titled it Rise of the Beasts, and you didn't make it, or at least do a co-branding thing with both of them.
So let's move on to the next category, because I think I want to put this under the umbrella as far as like researching, like putting that all together. And this goes into production value, the section of production value, where we're going to rate the efforts that went into making this movie. So bringing up that point with researching, and it looks like they took 3 scripts and slammed them together. They're like, let's redo the original Transformers animated movie with the Unicron plot. Let's do the Beast Wars plot, and then let's just do a generic buddy cop movie with Mirage and Noah. And those 3 plots decided to be a single movie, which I just fundamentally disagree with, and it didn't work.
I will agree with you there, stepping back and looking at that with that lens. they did try to do too much in one movie, tried to mash too much in one movie.
A vast majority of the film is G1 nostalgia was what I was getting at for a Beast Wars movie. Like there's a huge focus on like your main protagonist on the bot side is Mirage, who is not in Beast Wars. Never a part of Beast Wars. Huge part of G1. A lot of people from G1 are. I was actually really okay with Pete Davidson, Mirage, and that character because
I put it down. I said I'm when I had heard he was announced, I was like, okay, like obviously he's a big name, but now that the voiceover and the robot are together as one, I'm like, this actually works really well. He's kind of that smooth talking, I got this, don't worry, that hot shot, the thing that we talked about in the last episode of G1, the watch through, is that, you know, he's that young go-getter who's like, I got this, don't worry about it. And it works with Pete Davidson. It works with who he is, his comedy, his style. So I actually really liked that. There's some other stuff later on that I didn't like so much, but that had nothing to do with him per se.
Right. Yeah. Like I like that they actually used Mirage correctly. Like he's like a pseudo espionage unit. Like that's his thing. Yes. I kind of like how they gave him like the lackadaisy functional, like accidentally functional kind of vibe, which I really like in your infiltration character. So it worked really well for me. Like him. Like, a lot of the dialogue's kind of mid for me, but he was like, transform into a spy boat or something. He's like, nah, I got something better. He turns into a really crappy garbage truck. I thought that was great.
Yeah, the garbage truck.
That was fun.
Yes,
that was funny. That was a good moon.
And then there's a lot of like other silly stuff, like when he got the wrist gauntlet thing. He was like, I'm not going to tell you what part of that body. That's my tell you what part of my body that's from. You're like, ugh.
So going into production value here, every CGI on people was garbage. Probably some of the worst CGI out of Transformers, Bayverse, Common Era Transformers cinema. That was garbage. Like when the thing like got on him, and then it became a practical effect later. That looked fine. The practical effect was great.
Okay.
The stupid, I know it's, and again, this is from the G1 movie where he's in the spacesuit thing and his face is just put him in. Why are you why are you CGIing his face? Why?
So I didn't have, I went back and watched it a second time after you gave me a little brief preview of your notes. I went back and watched that very specific when he suited up, which I absolutely hated.
Which I just hated.
That Mirage should have been like, hold on, let me just give you me, and you just climb inside of me, which they also referenced, like, work buddies, you've been inside of me. Yeah, I was like, whoa. Okay, isn't this a kid's movie?
Is it? No, it's not. It's not. It's supposed to be.
I guess
it's
at
a
this point, it's
man-child
not.
movie
I guess
for sure.
We've established this is a nostalgia movie through and through. But I didn't. We see his face for 10, 20 seconds, and then every other shot, he's just he's a smaller robot getting punched around.
Right.
I didn't see that I was watching it in 4K. It looked good. I didn't find that there was this, that it looked like crap. Now, conversely, I watched the Flash movie in the past few months, and everything in that looked like doo-doo.
Right.
Everything. Anytime somebody had to be in a costume and they just slapped it as CG, it was not good. And I understand how they're trying to churn and burn these things. I did not feel that the quality dipped here, because you got 400 robots on screen punching each other. It's just one more robot, and you don't see his face very often. So maybe that one
when
shot
you see his face is garbage. Like the mapping in there, like there's a lot of shifting in it, and like his facial, like the video capture doesn't match like exactly. Like it was so disorienting to me. I was just like unreasonably pissed off. It's the same thing that I had problems with Obi-Wan Kenobi, like riding on whatever. It was clearly a camel, but they CGI'd it wrong, and his body's moving
weird,
and the animal's moving wrong. It looks looks like a first render pass. And like, man, I could clean that up, but nah. And then just like fucking hit print on it.
We don't got time. Send it out.
Golly. No, yeah, it's those things. And there was a lot of the robot designs are so good. Like the only thing that saves my production value score for this movie is the bot designs are so good. I love the Optimus Primal and Ape Link. I love Air Razor. I love Cheetor. I love Rhinox. Would have loved to see like the Predacons. I would have loved to see like them on screen for any amount of time. I think they probably have a grand total of 15-20 minutes of screen time for a Beast Wars
20
movie.
minutes? You are giving that a large leeway, because they're on the scring for a max of 2 minutes at most.
Seriously? Is that fact checked?
They have to be. I will go back. I will throw it up on the screen.
I'm sure it's just
here.
a Google, but like, yeah.
Yeah. My notes are, hold on, where's my note? Let me see. Would have liked to see more Rhinox and Cheetor at more than a few fleeting moments. They did Beast Wars dirty. The only, like, they run through the frame, they'll stop for a second in their animal form, and then when we see them transform into the robot form, which we see them, I mean, we've done, 4 episodes of the show? We've seen them in a significant amount of time in both animal and robot form. And this movie, we saw them barely in animal form, and then robot form was nothing more than a passing,
like 10
hold
seconds.
on, I'm coming in with my axe or my spear, and they're off the screen.
Did they even give Rhinox any screen time in robot mode? I don't think they did.
Yes, he was standing. So when he first transformed, he jumped up and flipped over and transformed with his hammer, and Cheetor was in the same shot. And then later on, when Primal comes in and they told him to move forward and get the thing,
do the thing,
he was behind. Rhinox was standing back there with his hammer as he smashes something and then runs off.
And it makes me so mad because Rhinox's guns are so cool. Like if he only had 5 seconds of screen time and he had both Gatling maces like just going up into the sky, I'd be like, perfect, great. Print.
And all they only had melee weapons. They had a mallet, and Cheetor had his like a long spear.
Yeah,
and that's all that they did. It was just kind of, they were they were there because of the name of the movie. And that's sad.
It's horrible. It wasn't a Beast Wars movie by any means.
Yeah, we came for that very specifically, and we got very little of that. And that sucks. That sucks overall, because again, that's where you got a 9 out of your nostalgia bias. You were walking in expecting these things to be on screen, to transform on screen, to see them both in their robot and beast mode, and doing something for more than half a second.
We've seen egregious
5 movies of Bumblebee and Optimus and whoever all the other Transformers are. Ooh, smack my microphone. Doing their thing. Let's give some screen time to the other guys that are here helping the cause, trying to get you home. Like, that's the thing. Like, they're trying to get themselves out of there and stop Unicron, but you also want to get out of there, and they're trying to help you.
Right. Well, and like the Maximals knew the Unicron threat. Like, Optimus and gang did not even know that was going to be a thing. So like, there is no reason not to role reverse the Autobots and Maximals in this movie. That should have been exactly how that went. Like, you have Optimus come on, you're like, oh, it's Optimus. Like, nobody cared per se. When Optimus Primal came out of the woods, it's like, oh, it's Optimus Primal. Well, not a majority of the people know who this is, and the people that you brought to the theater that do know who he is want to see him more. So why did you do that in your like basically second half reveal? After you dangled him in front of us, and they gave us 45 minutes of human character development for some reason that no one cares about.
That was one of my notes. I said, this falls in line with your complaints about too many humans instead of just Transformers.
Just Transformers. No one cares.
Yeah.
No one cares.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it.
We needed that MacGuffin. That MacGuffin was
You didn't need a MacGuffin.
buried in.
They could have just been stuck on planet. That's the MacGuffin. Get off planet.
You're not wrong. I mean, that's the same thing with the first Bayformers movie. Was the Allspark. We need to get the Allspark to do the thing. If we don't do the thing, we can't do the thing. And then if
what was so wrong about energon harvesting? Why has none of this done energon harvesting? Like, that's the Transformers plot. Why don't they go on there and they're like,
Jump.
The Predacons are here and they don't give a shit. So they're just like terrorizing all over the United States, and the Maximals are there and like, we're gonna help you. And that was the movie. Just do that the movie. You don't need there's the Unicrons here, and we got to get the MacGuffin McKee, and we got to go to the place. We got to travel the world, and we got to give development to these human characters because they're in this movie too, but no development to any of the main characters that the franchise is built on in the toys. Like, who's going out and going buy a Noah Diaz 4-inch action figure? Absolutely nobody.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Especially if they're going to put him in the suit. I don't want that either.
No, I don't want it. Get it out of here. Be gone.
Yeah.
It's got a little, like, one of those scratchy holographic faces plates in there. It looks like garbage.
Oh, which makes the noise when you're...
Yeah, that would have been better practical effect than CGI that they put on him. God damn.
Oh, man. Well, okay, so backtracking a minute, I did feel that they did a good job making it feel like it was 1994.
Yes, that was great. All the cars, all of the environment, all of the costume. I'm not as good as costuming, but it was like when he came out in the Power Ranger like T-shirt and had his big DMG Game Boy, the brother.
Yeah, it felt like it was 1994.
It's 1994, and I'm happy. Like, that's...
Yeah.
That's kind of the minimum if you're going to do a time set. Like, you got to be able to sell the environment. So, like,
the music...
I can't give them too many points for that.
The music... Like, I mean, they dropped a lot of money on music just in the first 20 minutes of the movie.
Right.
They were just like, hit them with the early 90s... sound of hip-hop. I very much was like, okay, this feels 90s to me. This feels like it's 1994. I think they took some cues from at least the early, I guess in all of the movies, where they did a little stuff in the city, but they moved everything away from civilization in the middle of nowhere. So we had a lot of really beautiful landscape shots, and keeping them away from humanity so they could do their robot thing. Let's put them back out in the woods. Let's have them fight over there. I appreciated that.
Right,
that
so
was
don't
something
include
that
New York.
I like.
Just start in Peru. They discover the Maximals in Peru. Beginning movie. Start movie there. Why are we in New York? Why are we beating our meat in New York? I don't understand. I just don't get it.
There's no museums in Peru, right? No, there's.
But you just say that the museum people are going. They're from New York. It's the museum in New York, and they're going to Peru. Just don't show New York. I don't care if it's like one scene. Just start there. Why wouldn't you do that?
We're gonna get some New York hate in the comments.
Good. I'm gonna trash your city. The rats won't beat me to it either.
With my production value for this, aside from a few little things, like the first time we see Optimus's transformation in the typical Michael Bay hero shot where the camera cycles around him, looked kind of funky. It was just a lot going on. There was a lot of metal swirling, and it was like, this is Optimus, and you're like, I don't know what that is, but
I didn't like Mirage's Uno reverse either, where the gears just kind of float in space. That doesn't feel very Transformers to me.
That he can just can reverse everything in his whole body.
Right.
Man, it was odd. But I guess my overall, without talking it through with you, landed at about an 8. Because again, they made me feel like I was in 1994. The music was great. I liked the set pieces that were done. I mean, they kept it, the museum that they were at, that was a nice looking museum, little battle scene there. And then when they took it off into the the forest and the woods of Peru. It moved it away, and we had a lot of nice, beautiful landscape stuff. Even the cave that they were in was really well done. And the what's the thing, the tower thing that they were trying to set up? It looked cool.
I don't know.
Like
it was
a
a tower thing that Unicron was attracted to. Don't know.
Which also just comes out of nowhere. They just hold the thing up, and it
why?
Just forms out of the earth. I don't get it. I thought that the thing that the Maximals left on in the very beginning of the movie was built by them. Was something that was like, here's our thing, here's our tower that we built, and so should things go awry, we can either escape or go places else. I didn't know it just manifests itself out of the ground.
I think it's just very strange. Yeah. And I know maybe it was supposed to imply that, which had already been implied when they were like part of ancient Peru, that the Maximals have been here for a long time and maybe built some structures or whatnot. But why would they build anything to give functionality to something that they just straight up don't want functioning? They broke the thing in 2 pieces to keep it from functioning. So that just doesn't make sense to me. I don't think the movie's very good. I'm just going to be straight up with that. I know we've only gotten through like one topic, but
2 of the sections.
Right.
Okay, so I will say that I'm going to stay on my 8, but I could drop it down a bit just based on, I was looking at more of the things that we kind of, the camera work, the filming techniques, the music score, how are you setting up this world for me to enjoy it?
Right.
And what are you showing me?
Right.
So I landed, I was like, oh, this movie is very pretty. It does what the production value was putting forth. They also made the robots very pretty. The Scourge, not Scorch. Scourge looked great. I thought his facial design was fantastic. Optimus looked a little thick. He was a little thick boy. He was very blocky.
He's very close to his G. I think that's the best iteration we've gotten of Optimus.
Yes, he doesn't have this broad chest and then tight waist that all the other ones had before this one had come about. And Bumblebee looked like he did in the previous movie.
Yeah.
Mirage's design was pretty awesome. The other 2...
Wheeljack got wienered. Again. Because I looked back, and in the Bayformers, he was wienered there, too. He was like this weird old man thing, scientist.
Was he?
Yeah, look up.
That was supposed to be Wheeljack?
Right? Bruh, that's 2. That's 2 times you completely butchered my boy, Wheeljack.
2 strikes. Get out of here.
No, don't touch him again.
Like, Wheeljack is and one. It was. I have Wheeljack right there. I know you can't see him. Maybe I'll slide my camera over.
That can't be Wheeljack. He doesn't look like.
He's right there. He's the
like. Why wouldn't you just use the wheel? Like everybody else, they're like, yeah, like it's pretty good homage. Like RC looks great. Love RC.
RC looked just like RC does.
Ironhide was a good redesign. I liked Ironhide's redesign. It stayed true to kind of Ironhide's character and gave him a little bit of a differentiator from Wait, who was he? It was Ironhide and Cliffjumper, I think, were the same in G1.
No.
You're
talking about Ironhide. Ironhide in the first Bayformers movie.
Black Ironhide with the double cannons.
Yes, he was they made him like a big pickup truck, a dually pickup truck. But in the original G1, he was a minivan.
Right. So I liked that redesign to me, like a different interpretation.
I have one of those up there too.
Yeah. It's almost like we have an interest in this series and hope it does well, but we are continuously let down for the umpteenth time. If they wanted to make a scientist kind of like nerd Volkswagen van character, I think there's still other options within there if you want to use like a known character. If that was shoot. Oh man, who's the Ratchet? If that was Ratchet and he's like I had a different form. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Make it like that as a Ratchet design might do it for me.
Yeah, that would have worked for me. It's almost the same kind of car. It looks vaguely the same as the G1. Like, it is pretty close. The only thing I did enjoy about it, because it was Cristio Fernandez, who played Danny Rojas in Ted Lasso.
Right.
And then I was like, okay, but you're still not the thing that you were before.
Right.
The car that you should be, or at least close enough
Or
to
close,
that car.
or your role. Like, Wheeljack is
I was-
not a science officer by any means, is he? He's recon mostly, which I think they're trying to imply
Yeah,
that
I
he
think
was
so.
recon.
I don't quite know what his role is. I don't remember what his role was. I just remember him
I feel like I'm most familiar
being
with
one
him
of
in
my
Armada.
favorite characters, at least just because of his look. Like
Yeah.
he looked awesome.
Yeah, yeah, because he's
Every
one of the
kid
few
wanted Wheeljack.
Autobots that like had like really big like extruding
His
parts. It's fins.
Yeah, his doors or his stuff made wings off him.
Yeah, that would have been
He
cool.
looked awesome.
Yeah. So I liked the character of Wheeljack was a cool bot for, again, the limited amount of screen time he had. And that's I'm just gonna give my score. I gave it a 5 because we're kind of in the weeds here a little bit, and I can bring these up under other topics.
Yep. No, we can move forward.
The reason I gave it a 5 and not it like I almost want to give it like lower. Was because it's really good rendition of 90s New York, I'm assuming. The fetishized version of 90s New York, Brooklyn. I would rate that very high. The bot designs, I would rate those very high. They look good. They look good. I really liked that was an amazing rendition of the Maximals. It makes a lot more sense how they looked than like what was interpreted like the first CGI outing with Transformers. And that kind of comes late. They kind of merged the look from Beast Machines and the original Beast Wars and made it super serviceable to they look great. I love that. I wish I knew the designer. I'd just be like, damn, they did your work so dirty, because like the designs you did are fantastic. And when they came alive on screen, I was super happy. But basically, they gave you a YouTube short demo reel, and that's about it. So, like,
I did find them. I didn't hate the designs. I liked how they made them look. Air Razor's weird nose. I get it. Like, you couldn't just have her have a straight beak because she needed to have some sort of
that's not
articulation.
necessarily true, because they're speakers per se, so you don't have to have lip flap. I like it though.
So this is all lending in what I'm about to say. Yeah. So yes, you don't need to have. She could have just had her mouth opening, but they added a lot of extra metal moving, which all their faces do, which makes it look a little strange. I don't remember what Optimus's mouth looked like in the original Bayformers movies.
Oh,
but I could not stand it in this movie. My notes are like this: his mouth is gross. It's terrible. Just put his face shield on. We don't ever see his mouth in any cartoon that I can remember, and it's just his mouth, the shield moving up and down. But the fact that it has to like come off for him to yell no during the thing that we're going to talk about probably at a great length, or just he's got this and it looks so dumb.
That was how it was in Bayformers as well. It was like two metal mustaches like doing this like,
and I was like, I don't like it. I don't know why I didn't, I guess, recognize. Maybe I was under this like spell of like, oh my god, Transformers are in real life right now, and for those movies. But this movie, it really irked me a lot. But back to the Maximals. I don't. So obviously the CGI had the limited ability to have fur texture. It just so it looked like it was a gorilla.
Yeah.
But it was flat, obviously.
Right.
With this one, I didn't need the extra fur. It almost looked like a giant gorilla had put on some sort of mech costume where he had his tuft of hair and like he had like fur poking out in places.
I really wish we could get to Beast Machine so you can see why that is a really good choice to do that.
Okay. Oh, I'm assuming there was a reason for it.
Yeah.
But coming into it not knowing anything,
right,
it looked like everyone was just wearing metal things on top of their animal.
I'll just say
on top
that's
of the animal
basically
that
the
they
Beast Machine designs. They kind of hybrided like the silhouette of the original Beast Wars, and then brought in some of like the They didn't retcon it, but they kind of better explained it in Beast Machines with like this hybrid, organic and robotic evolution of Cybertronian like beings.
Okay, that maybe will solve that.
Yeah.
That kind of weird
valid critique. And again, there's no show, and there was a lot of exposition, but none of it about the Maximals.
Yeah.
So maybe that would have been something to kind of touch on briefly if you're really selling the fantasy. Might be my opinion.
For sure. And you had said when we talked briefly after we watched it was that this should have been the first movie. This should have been the first Bayformers movie, the coming to Earth, the figuring things out. Because I guess this doesn't fall into the production value, but I guess this is more the overall at the end. But this movie, you said, didn't stand on its own, and it doesn't.
Well, we can talk about that in this section. You know, let's move on to the next section, which is like the spirit and intent. What is this movie trying to accomplish? What is it trying to make the audience feel? What is it trying to tell the audience? Why is it bringing you to the seat in the theater, and what are you leaving with? How well did it accomplish that, and did it even accomplish anything at all? Let's talk about that. So, within the spirit of this movie, to your best explanation, what was this movie trying to do, Nick? Sounds like it was trying to do several things, and none of them well.
Stop Unicron. That's about all I got.
Not necessarily plot-wise, but like, why was this movie made? Was it to sell toys? Was it to create a cinematic universe? I think that's
that. I think that we took a hot steaming dump on them by the time we got to the fifth movie.
Correct.
The fifth movie, Earth was Unicron. If I'm not mistaken, if I'm missing that, if I'm not remembering that right.
So
Marky Mark being like, the Earth is Unicron, and you're like, get out of here.
I think I was in the middle of having my first. What year did the first that's last night, right?
The what?
The last night.
Oh yeah. I was like last night. Like
it came out last night. You know, this is the movie. It came out last night. No,
yes, the last night. Was
I think that came out in 2017, right?
No. Transformer 2017.
Okay, yeah. See, I was in the middle of having my first kid. I don't remember. About that movie. And I choose not to go back to that one.
Okay, I'm not going to do much more research, but I'm going to keep on this track because that's what I remember. And if you have something else if you have an opposing view or telling me that I'm wrong, comments right now. But yeah, if I remember correctly, the end of the movie left it as there was a hooded person, maybe a woman, maybe she was a robot. I don't remember, but she was standing on a beach, and there was a bunch of Unicron spikes coming out of the beach. What we left was Earth is Unicron, or Unicron is in the Earth. And everything that I know about, that is not the case. Right. And so I left that movie being like, I'm done with this franchise. Thank you. You have ruined it.
You've killed it.
You've killed it. You've you threw Marky Mark in here. Not that he's bad. Sorry, Marky Mark. You're not a bad actor, but this wasn't your movie.
No.
Like, you didn't need to be here. It was funny that they dropped a reference to him when they're in the beginning of the movie, when Noah gets in Mirage and they're driving through the city. Maybe it was before. Anyway, they were driving around the city, and what comes on the radio is Marky Mark is leaving.
Oh, that's right. I did
music,
catch that. Yeah.
Getting into acting. And I was like, okay,
I'll bite on that
tip
one.
my cap to you guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, it got to this point where I'm like, I'm done with this franchise. Thank you very much. You've broken my toy. You've broken my toy. I'm going home now. And then I watched Bumblebee, and I went, all right, some faith is restored here. some faith in this franchise, in what you have to offer, can be brought back around.
So essentially, like, this is if you're trying to make a cinematic universe, you have to have your Iron Man movie. So supposedly that's Bumblebee. Like, serviceable, has lots of merit on its own, shows potential. That's your Iron Man movie. That's what we're seeing with Nintendo in their cinematic universe. Detective Pikachu, serviceable, worked well on its own. It stemmed the Sonic, not that Nintendo generally, but the video game golden era, of which we are at the fledgling stages of right now. So you got the 2 Sonic movies, and you got your Mario movie. Your Mario movie is your banger. This is the best way to bring your video game to the silver screen. That's what I feel like they were trying to do here, is to create, this is like, oh my God, we're in the Hasbro verse. Like, we're in Transformers is peak again. Like, we're doing it, and this just does not achieve that, period.
This should have been the original Transformers movie. This was that setup for, if you didn't watch Bumblebee, you should come into this with a better, or leave this with a better understanding of how this all started.
Right.
And you're right. Expository dialogue. Go. We're into the movie. So if you have no idea about Transformers or anything, you get a quick little sprinkling of some exposition, and then good luck getting to know these characters and moving forward.
Well, the only characters we're going to learn about are
and you're like, I don't care about Noah.
Because we got to get him keyed up for the big thing. So the point where I'll slot this topic in is they're trying to kick off the G.I. Joe franchise, whatever they're trying to do with that, which is a very poor showing. That's,
my eyes bugged out a little bit when I saw that.
It was great when I saw it. I was like, oh god damn, this movie's great. Like, I'm like, oh hell yeah, this is I'm here for it. I want to see the G.I. Joe and Transformers movie at the same time. That sounds great.
Yes, please.
I distinctly remember the drive-in theater. I actually went to a drive-in theater it was probably about a decade ago. But I saw the G.I. Joe movie and the Transformers movie on different screens at the drive-in. It was a great experience. I really liked that. Okay. So those IPs do work. I don't remember. I was at a drive-in theater. I wasn't watching that movie. Rough.
The first one was rough. The first one was, I was like, not feeling G.I. Joe. The second one hit the feeling of G.I. Joe.
I think it was the second one. Second one.
Much better.
Rise of Cobra or something like that.
As we know, if you're on my channel right now, just go look at all the videos. Like, I am a G.I. Joe fanatic and always have been. That second movie really made me feel like G.I. Joe was a thing. And I want this. I want this to happen, but you got to do it right. And you're not showing me that you're going to do it right.
No, not at all. And you know what? I will say that I have completely pooped on the human character development and stuff like that. The actor was good. The guy who played Noah did a great job.
I was literally just running that through my mind. I'm like, I wanted to be like, no, the kid's good. The kid Noah. He's a good actor. Like, he did his job perfectly.
Did great.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the other characters didn't do so great. I thought it was hilarious that there was the hierarchical woman stepping on woman in the 90s with the museum pseudo curator and the intern that.
Yes.
So there I was also like, oh, they're kind of doing some kind of empowerment subplot here with and I can't remember the character's name.
Nope.
The archaeologist.
No, because she was very. She did a lot of the things, but was
do one or the other. Honestly, I would you know what? You scuff the Noah plot. Just send that to the Shadow Realm, and you put her plot in. So you start the movie with her being an intern on site in Peru, finally getting to do her jam, and her museum curator is kind of. And they're on site and start the movie there. She discovers Air Razor, and you've got this actually pretty good woman-driven main character and plot, and you can run that all the way through. Give her a full arc, which you don't give her a full arc here.
No.
I would have liked to see that. I know that there's like the big thing that like Transformer man hate, but like that was just a more compelling story than Noah's subplot of like taking care of his brother, but he's really not taking care of his brother by any mean. I don't know what his arc was besides he got a job.
No, it ended with a nice positive cherry on top. That's where it ended. It ended with the, all right, Noah, like you were trying to take care of your brother. We got it covered now. Thank you. We're like, thanks for saving the day.
But that's not an arc.
No. I'm agreeing with you. That's me agreeing with you, saying that it was just this convenient cherry on top. That's like, don't worry, your brother will get the care that he needs. And you're like,
and I would have
okay,
again like this whole movie's just backwards because like if you wanted to include Noah Diaz to take him as a through line character for the G.I. Joe, you have the archaeologist start off the movie. She discovers Air Razor. She does all the stuff in Peru. She brings the Maximals, and then the Autobots show up, and so the army's got to get involved, and like there's Diaz, like he's just like a private in the army, and then he gets to show his stuff, and they have like a small moment, like why are you in the army? Why are you working? And then he's like, I gotta help my brother. He's got sickle cell. Like I gotta get the monies. Why else does anyone join the army? And then someone notices that, and then you can do the same scene. It's like, hey, we're going to take care of your brother. Here's G.I. Joe. Done. See, we got all the same points accomplished with just an objectively better movie that was about the Maximals and Beast Wars.
Yeah.
Because
and kept it focused on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I completely agree.
It's not that hard to, like, AI could have written that script better than this.
Yeah.
Because you crammed 3 scripts together. That's what you did.
Yeah.
You wanted to get Unicron. You wanted huge screen times with your Autobots, which doesn't make sense. It's Beasts. It's about the Beasts. So it's the same way that they did the Dinobots in Last Night. Yeah. It's like
so bad.
It's just really bad, dude. It's really bad.
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming that they're planning to spin this movie off into a Beast Wars-esque movie or a more of a Beast Wars centric focused movie, which this was.
But how could you do that? Because you don't have the Predacons.
Oh, I don't know. I'm just saying that this was supposed to be. That was supposed to be the thing. But yeah, now you have to introduce the Predacons, and you need to figure out how to get them to Earth to do this thing.
Yeah, there's just no reason to have Unicron and the Autobots in this as main
bring him
characters.
later. We got him later. We can address that later.
Yeah, if he was in the last half, I would be okay. Like, hey, it's Optimus Prime showing up to, like, kind of get him out of a bind with the Predacons, and Optimus is like, what the hell are the Predacons? And Maximal's like, hey, we're actually from the future.
Perfect.
But we came to the past, and, like that whole, like, actual thing that's going on, serviceable. And you still get Optimus in there. You can put him in your trailer so people come watch your movie.
Yeah.
I just don't know, man. So, like, meat and potatoes is I gave the like intent score a 4 because they did have a lot of spirit in the research. I could tell, like, including Ape Link at the beginning. That's a very niche reference. That's a very
I asked you
obscure
before we started
character.
this what was his name, because it was very passing. I think it came and I went, I don't even know what that is. Okay, sure, whatever. There's another monkey.
So there's a convention called BotCon, which is, I don't think it's even around anymore. It might be. That they did a lot of investment for, like, creating their own characters and stuff. So Ape Link was a special recolor of Beast Machine's Optimus Primal and got his own. He's been in several of, like, the BotCon comics and that kind of thing. He's a cool character. I like what they did with him.
Not anymore.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like it's
alert.
cool. Like the opening. Like, I thought I was so bamboozled within the first 2 minutes. I was like, oh, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be a great film. And then it just wasn't. It just never started. The movie just never got going for me.
Yeah. And so my spirits and whatever where this category is, I gave it a 6, somewhere in the 7, I guess.
Okay.
The emotional value, and I know you had a thing with this, and I have some things to say, but the Bumblebee getting killed.
That was fake. I knew that was a fake death right away.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe I'm going to remove the 7 and go back down to the 6 with this. Yeah, the Bumblebee fake right away. So this is something that I know you don't have any, maybe you don't watch, but that was go for, go.
It was a bait and switch for the people that watched the Transformers movie, because Optimus dies right at the beginning of that movie. Spoiler for anyone who hasn't seen that. And you're like, oh, Optimus is going to die. But no, gotcha, it was Bumblebee. I was like, they're not going to kill Bumblebee. That's not even a good death. He just got electrocuted.
If we're gonna now mash more scripts up together.
Yep.
Take the original Transformers animated movie and mash this in. Don't kill Bumblebee. This is okay. So back to my.
And they already
point.
killed Optimus in a different movie. It just doesn't make sense to me.
This is Wrestling 101,
mm-hmm.
And you're like, okay, you kill one of the good guys. You kill one of the baby faces. You knock him out of the ring. Yep. Whatever. He's hurt. He's out. Now they're up again. Now they're man down. They're up against this. Then all of a sudden, they climb up on the ring apron, stick out their hand for that hot tag, and then the crowd pops, and everyone's like, Bumblebee's back. It didn't land that way. Unfortunately, they kill him off, and we're like, and we don't, there isn't enough emotional investment in that. Yes, we all know and love, but again, if you are coming into this completely cold, having no understanding of this, you're like, oh, one of the soldiers died, whatever.
Yeah.
Yes, we have an understanding of who Bumblebee and Optimus is and their relationship. But other than that, they didn't really, they were like, we got to get him back and hopefully we can fix him. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, there was then 3 times they mentioned, like, oh, can we fix him? Can we bring him back? Oh, there's Energon here. Do you think it'll work on Bumblebee? Not in its current form, but I guess if something happened, maybe it would. It was like, yeah, no, you're going to bring him back.
So, to all my wrestling fans and nerds out there, this was a mid-card match. If we had done it where Optimus had died, he's the John Cena, the Hulk Hogan, the Rock at the height of all of that. You drop him in the beginning, he's out of the ring. Now you have all of the lower tier guys up against a wall. We form up with the Maximals. Now we're having to go up with different leadership of Primal.
Yep.
And then we get to the big fight. John Cena gets up on the ring apron, hits the Energon, you get the hot tag, the crowd goes wild, and Optimus jumps into the frame.
Right.
That's your pop.
Right.
That's your pop right there.
Easily.
You kill him off in the beginning. You bring back all of the trauma that my generation had from the original animated movie of seeing this guy that we watched day in and day out on our cartoons die in front of our eyes, like legitimately die and not come back. And we're like, what the hell? Play off that and really pop me. It sounds dirty, but that's pop me at that point. Like, I want to go, yes, Optimus is back. Yes. But it was like, oh, Bee's back. Okay. I'm all right. Bumblebee's back. Cool.
Remake the original G1 movie frame for frame with this style. Just do that. Just do it. You want to do it. That's everything that I've seen.
You want to do it.
Is just want to do it. So just do it. I think literally everyone would like that. Everyone would be fine with that.
I would love to see what they do with that.
Yeah,
I would actually be here for that if they tackled that.
But they've bastardized it and ripped plot points out of it so much.
Yes.
Like now you can't, honestly. I would say don't make another Transformers movie for about 10 years and then just remake G1 with new tech. Just do that.
Yeah. And I mean, that sucks for the Beast Wars people and the Beast Wars IP.
We didn't get a Beast Wars movie. That's it. We were just debating.
Yeah, so we have to kind of
absolutely baited and outsmarted.
or reset them separately. Like, we don't need them together. Like, it was cool that we had the mashup, but set them separately, because there is no crossover. Is there ever? Or is there a crossover?
You'll
if
have
you
to
know,
find
comment
out.
below.
Watch the show. Watch the show.
Yeah.
God damn
we
it.
haven't got there. We kind of jump the gun here with this movie, but yeah, I'm if there's the crossover, then that's awesome. But don't you took a hot all over it.
Yeah, it was bad. It was
All right,
bad, man.
so
I felt
I'm gonna
absolutely
move this back down to a
gooned.
6. We're not gonna give that 7 that I had. We're taking points away as we go along.
Right. Yep. Just get that right out of here. So
I'm
now
only gonna give the production value a 7 just because. Changing
he's
as we
remapping.
go along.
His Excel sheet is altering the numbers as we
Yeah.
Okay.
I should have done it in there. Yeah, that would have been easier to calculate.
So I think we can go through the next two sections real quick. Re-watchability. Is this a timeless classic? Is this a keystone piece for the Transformers franchise? What say you, Nick?
I gave it a 6. I would rewatch it.
Okay.
I know that's high, but that is I'm now going to rewatch it with my brain turned off. I'm here for those little bits and pieces of it that kind of, it's on in the background while I'm working. I'm okay with that. So maybe that gives me a 5. Maybe we'll play that happy medium. We'll go with a 5. That'll put us where if it's there, I'll watch it. Or if I just need something to have on mindlessly, that's what it'll be.
I give mine 3.
Where do you? Did you give a 3? You said
yes. I can't recommend it to anyone. I would actively pursue people to delete it from their memories. The only credence that I will give it is that the bot designs are really cool. I would love just to throw it up and dang, yeah, those look cool. I like those. I think the toys probably are cool. I haven't really looked at them because I'm just that kind of a salty guy.
Okay.
The only
the
good
toys
thing
look pretty
that
good.
has
The Rhinox figure looked kind of cool. I've picked them up a couple times.
Man, if only
he
was in the movie, that would be interesting. At all.
I would have bought him. You would have got my
$40
or whatever the hell he is now.
Rhinox is. Do you know would have been great to talk about some of that stuff instead of bootleg Wheeljack?
Is movie.
Rhinox maybe? Who actually does?
Or Cheetor?
Or Cheetor, who does recon?
We've watched 4 episodes of Beast Wars, the cartoon, and most of them revolve around him.
It's almost like they have roles on the team, and they have a slim team, so they have to be really good at their role and usually do the missions that best use their roles. It's not the Paw Patrol where you're sending in Chase to go into the water when you have the water dog not doing God damn, it's so frustrating to me. So the only good thing that comes from this movie is that I hope every person that likes Beast Wars, that has credence in Hollywood, goes and we want to do this, but actually, because we're so offended that this exists, and we want to right the world. Yeah, 3 is probably the best I can give it. That's probably a little too kind. Given how I feel about it personally.
So the next is overall. What in the grand scheme of everything, what is your overall rating of it? If you had to put a number up on it, what would that end up being?
It's another big 3 from me, Captain. It's it doesn't function as a standalone Transformers film. It doesn't function as a Beast Wars film at all. I don't think it functions as a decent film just in isolation. I don't think it should exist.
You have to make a lot of leaps if you're gonna place it in a standalone film. You have to be willing to let a lot of things go. A lot of that I'm taking this as exposition, and that's what it's gonna be. And I hope that I hope you have told me enough so I know what's going on in the end.
Right. I don't think anyone in the history of anything that's never seen a Transformers movie, that has never really cared for Transformers at all, is I want to start with Rise of the Beast. That's where I want to start. It's just not going to happen. So it's really just I can't wrap my head around what they were trying to accomplish. and they blew a lot. I really liked Ron Perlman's performance as Optimus Primal. I didn't know it was him until later.
Oh.
I listened to some.
I didn't catch that at all. I'm usually pretty good about.
Yeah, I mean they're so like audio filtered over.
Like,
Peter
Dinklage.
Michelle
Yeoh was Airbird, Air Razor, whatever.
Yeah, she did a great job.
What in my notes? I typed it as Airbird.
Airbird.
I was like, I forgot.
It's Peter Dinklage is Scourge.
What? Man, I must have not been paying attention.
I guess better check me because now I'm not as confident. But I listened to some of his line deliveries in isolation, and I don't think he did a great job. Some of the lines came off good, but
I didn't have a problem with. I didn't have.
It was
a problem
only listening to him in isolation. I saw someone like clip him and like, what is Dinklage doing here? And it was just like, ooh, yeah, like those line deliveries are a little stunted.
Oh, it was Peter. Okay, it was Peter Dinklage. Yeah, John DiMaggio was Stratosphere, which it was another character that was just. Yeah, I was like, Stratosphere even a character? I mean, I'm assuming he was. Like, I just don't remember him. Coleman Domingo, who's in Fear of the Walking Dead, was Unicron. Missed that one completely. Yeah, man, I apparently was not paying attention.
They just blew money on these actors. That's what I am taking away from it.
Yeah. I know I'm gonna probably catch some hate for this, but Peter Cullen was sounding a little rough. Peter Cullen was sounding a little.
Oh, it's scary.
Talky
man.
over his dentures. I might scary. Cut this. Just
it makes me sad.
But it was, yeah. I mean, he's an older man. I get it. Like where. I assumed that this property was to, hey, pass on the torch. Maybe we're going to now transition into Beast Wars instead of we're stuck on this.
Yeah. Ron Perlman as Optimus Prime. I mean, Gary Chalk is still around. He could still do it.
Is that who did it originally?
Yeah, because like they even put Optimus Primal in Fortnite. I have the skin because I was just like so excited for this, like, hey, we're just gonna do it like we did for the 90s kids. Like, we're gonna pass on Optimus Prime over, like, we're gonna kind of like focus on this character as like the leader of the Maximals, like transition to a different subset of Transformers. I think it's completely doable. I think you can sell that to an audience very well. You didn't do it here, so now I don't know what you're gonna do with that. But I was here for it.
Yeah.
So what was your overall rating?
It didn't really reinvigorate that hardcore bias I came in with. It bumped it up slightly because they did some better things with it. They rebooted some things to make it a little better, but all in all, it still landed pretty rough. And I just changed my overall score from a 6 to a 5. So I'm not like too far off from where you landed. But talking it out now and kind of stepping back with a little bit of time after watching this, I'm seeing where a lot of those stumbles that maybe I was watching it with the popcorn intent and in mind, but like, oh yeah, like this is supposed to be the reboot. This is supposed to be the thing that was picking the franchise back up and putting it back on the pedestal and and then sticking Beast Wars next to it and being like, here, now you guys go and do something awesome.
And making G.I. Joe reboot happen.
And making a G.I. Joe reboot happen, yeah. Like a lot rides on this movie. And I don't think it pulled it off.
No, it didn't.
I don't think it pulled it off very well.
It didn't, because like to me, I'm the easiest sell. Like it was like, I'm not hypercritical. Like, it's not like the lore. It's not like canon. Like, I don't know. Like just show me the robots on the screen. That was kind of really my only metric that I needed, and you just didn't do that.
Yeah, when the original Bayformers movie came out, I watched it back to back. I paid for it, and then I had a friend that worked at the theater, and he was like, "I'm screening it. You want to watch it again?" And I'm like, absolutely. But like, it just didn't hit that mark. I'm an easy mark for this. Like, you have my childhood in the palm of your hands. Don't crush it. Don't just crumble it and sprinkle it back. Here you go. That's kind of what they did.
Oh, they did. Yeah, it was just it was horrible. I don't know, man. Like that was the highest I could rate
horrible.
It. Was
like that's
overall.
I would say that for me that's a hard term to put on it, but I'm not discrediting your
for sure. Like people are going to take a different way. I was actually affronted to have witnessed it and to
okay.
like because to me it's like you could put it in the hands of so many creatives that actually understand the material and what people want out of it. That
put it in the right hands and it will sing. It will do what it's supposed to do.
Like
I mean, for example, I am a huge Fargo fan. I'm a Coen Brothers fan through and through. When they announced the TV show, I threw whatever I was like, do not screw this up. Like I am coming into this with such a heavy bias. I'm like, you have a high bar to meet. And they have jumped that bar, at least met, if not jumped that bar every time with the series. And I was like, good.
And they don't have to. Like, just meeting expectations, or at least compelling me
that's what I'm saying. Like,
is
they
so
at
huge.
least met those expectations, if not have exceeded them. And I was like, good. You didn't ruin the original property that it came from. Or sully the original property that it came from.
With everything
so with all that being said, what is your overall final score?
So how much did this movie fulfill me? Like Steven's fulfillment factor is here, and the numbers are coming in at a whopping 48% satisfied. It's actually egregious.
Okay,
that gives it a big F for me.
Okay, so my overall came down. Again, I've been tweaking as we've been going along here, and I am at a 57%. And at 57%, that is still rotten. If we're on some website that does a thing with tomatoes and such.
It's a big stinky for me. So
yeah.
That...
And I'm sure if we continue to talk about this longer, my appreciation for some things would probably come down a little bit. So we're sitting in that like mid 50s.
Yeah, it's a movie that exists that you could probably catch on your streaming platform. I see it as an affront to God and nature. Maybe you don't feel that way, that's okay.
This is a very egregious to you, huh?
Well, and I really sat with it twice, and
you did watch this when it came out, and then you watched it again recently.
Yeah, and it's just. Wow, I just feel very betrayed, and it just further shows that the things that I care about are at the mercy of people that don't. And I want to like things like this because I love when things work.
Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to run into that if we do a lot of the other kind of was a property and then made a remake or a reboot, if you will, and. You know, my one that just popped into my brain is RoboCop. I haven't seen the new one that was 5 years ago.
Right.
But like, I have a feeling that we're going to fall in that same.
Yeah, I liked it. Like RoboCop was pretty decent. I haven't seen the original.
I love RoboCop. RoboCop, the original is fantastic, and I have a feeling I'm going to get to the new one and be like, why did you even bother? Again, it doesn't take that away from me, but it also doesn't help keep that in mind and in the forefront and being like, oh, they took this property that I loved and at least hit that bar and like made something that we all can go, all right, cool, there's another version out there.
Yeah, and that's how I felt with like Detective Pikachu, which I think was a very hard adaptation to do of Pokemon in general.
I enjoyed that movie.
I thought it was great.
For someone who doesn't Pokemon, if you've watched any of Steven's stuff and me just sitting there going, what is this? What is that? What is that?
But the Mario movie was great. Love that. I think that's fantastic.
I still have to watch that.
I make these comparisons because I feel like it's like as hard to adapt to the silver screen. Like these are things that are incredibly difficult to adapt successfully. The Sonic movies I think are really good. The second one's better. I think they as they went on, they adapted and got better at doing that. And we just don't see that with Transformers. They don't take and improve upon.
If anything, they go down.
They've just gone straight down. I don't get why something that should be really good to adapt just doesn't. And I think this happens with like Pacific Rim as well. I really like the first one. I haven't seen the second one, but I don't think anyone really is like, it's the better of the two. And that really tanked
definitely not.
that franchise, because I think they're bringing back Del Toro to do it, but they were supposed to have like an animated series and like 5 movies.
There is.
And
I'm pretty sure there is still an animated series.
Oh, thank God. But
I don't know. I don't know how that's received, because at that point, after the second movie, I'm like, I don't really. You've lost my attention and my love for the series right now.
Right. And so that's where I want Transformers to change hands. I think, is it still Legendary doing all this? I can't remember. But whoever is in the decision-making room, whether it's CEO or higher ups, or like, they just need to not be a part of it going forward. Like, whoever's making these decisions on scripts. Oh,
it's Skydance.
I don't know who that is. That probably not a great start. They're doing too much. Just simplify your story, because you're already trying to sell people on a very strange fantasy.
I didn't realize this. I'm just running through the beginning of this. This is 4 production companies so far. Before we even got to Skydance.
Yeah.
Hold on.
This thing looks like a mess on paper.
Too many. You've now added too many cooks in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. Like, knock it off.
And you can tell they took 3 movies, probably with a lot of preferences towards either one, and made garbage. Like, like you mixed all your colors together, and it just didn't come out. Development hell, which we've seen too many times. But I've given my final score. Nick's given his final score. Let's wrap this up, Nick.
Okay.
Tell us about Gen Wars.
We're going to continue doing more of this. We're going to hit a bunch of movie franchises. We're going to continue down the road of G1 and Beast Wars, the properties that got us here, the properties that we both love and care for, and why we put so much effort and focus into talking about this movie, because this was the culmination of that, and it kind of fell apart. But we'd love to do more movies. If you have movies that are generational, that are, like I said, RoboCop, where there was an old movie and there's a new one. The Thing was one of them my buddy referred to or brought up. Anything like that, any movie that Steven hasn't seen, just throw a dart at a Blockbuster shelf, and Steven probably hasn't seen it. We'd love to tackle it. I want to discuss it, because I've probably seen it and have some opinions, and I want to see what Steven has to say with his very varied lens from mine.
Yeah, for sure. Like, if you've gotten this far in the episode, like go ahead, just throw a movie down there. It's probably a winner. And I probably haven't seen it, just given how egregious my portfolio of watched material is. So go ahead, throw it down there below. Make sure you like and subscribe. Check out the Funky Store. We appreciate all that thing. And check out all our channel has to offer. Nick makes a whole bunch of great stuff over here on Fireheather 508 Creations. And I got some gameplay over on Funky Games. We do cool stuff over there, so you could check it all out there. Nick, I'm signing off.
Do we want to tell them about how we're doing this? What we're doing with this? Do we know what we're doing this?
I haven't decided what we're doing with it, but let's just assume that you've seen it somewhere, and we appreciate you for watching wherever it may be. Okay. But make sure you like both of our channels, because it could be there next.
Okay. We got anything else, or are we out of here?
Nope, this was a 30-minute episode, because that's what Nick slotted for it. So.
Not as of this recording. This is going to be a big 2-hour if we're going to keep everything in.
Well, we appreciate you, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.